Alright. I think it should be called, okay, I did an event at this new community space, the coffee shop American Grammar in Philly over the weekend. It was a great event. It was great talking to Terrence and Luke. We spoke about political inscrutability in art, literature as a tool for self-formation and self-invention is the Supreme American Act. I appreciate that for inviting me. Maybe I don't need that line. And hosting me. And everyone who came out for coming out. Here's a video of it. During the Q&A, something came up that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. I'm honestly glad it came out, as it made me realize that I need to write something about it. It was a question about artistic influence and the exploitation of outsider art and the ethics of this. When she asked the question, it took me a sec to realize what she was even asking, or rather to understand how she was applying what she was asking to me in my book. I realized that she was basing what she was asking on this essay, this hysterical, embarrassing cancel attempt written by the writer who goes by the name Sam Pink back in August of 2021, 5 months before my novel was set to publish. I didn't respond to this directly for a few reasons. It came out of such bad faith and opportunism, and I was honestly initially shocked he would do such a transparent publicity stunt in a time when I was undergoing such real grief he knew more than most about. I felt embarrassed for him for acting so hysterical and self-victimizing, projecting so much onto me about his own choices. I thought it would be self-evident that this was someone going through something, lashing out, throwing a tantrum. I didn't expect it to be taken seriously. Once you read the book, I thought, you'd realize that whatever influence he's claiming to have on my work is stated right there, in the book itself. It's never in question. And also that the character attacks about me being wealthy and connected will be proven to be total bullshit based on what's in the book. But it turns out, maybe some people still listen to this, or actually believe this. So I realized it was time to speak on it. There are a few things going on in this essay. The first is that I somehow stole something from him. The second are a series of made-up character attacks, all of which are projections by the author. To do the first one first, I didn't steal anything from him. I cited his writing in my book, asked him for permission to cite him over a year before he wrote that essay, while also throwing him some encouragement. That's where those lines are drawn from, me being encouraging to him, as if that's evidence of anything. He gave me permission, was fully supportive of the project, and then, once the book sold, suddenly started saying he wasn't. Here's what he said right after I sent him the book, initially, back in May 2020. Screenshot. Damn, dude, really enjoying Fuckboy. This is next level closest in execution. Me, goddamn, man, fuck yeah. And I think that puts it perfectly. I studied and used a technique one Pink also uses. I made it my own and took it to the next level. Couldn't have said it better myself. I cite everyone I'm influenced by in Fuckboy. This is part where I thought I might be trying to get a little bit too long. That's part of the message of it. That we should and can be influenced by others and should read aggressively and create from that open receptive state. And yet, at the same time, I don't want to understate how much of influence he specifically was. It's as absurd to say I plagiarized from him as it is to say I wasn't influenced by him. I absolutely did not plagiarize from him. I absolutely was influenced by him. I identify him specifically as a writer to look to understand one aspect of my book, a formal technique of some of the chapters are written in. Just like for some structural elements of my book, how it's a philosophical investigation of how to be, I point to other writers. And for some diaristic elements, how it's an investigation of shame and the unsayable, I point to still others. Same goes for the vernacular element of the flow and for the intimate arc of the story, etc. But of course, I credit him so generously, and this starts getting to his head. And when he suddenly realizes that Gion's death means me and my book, as Gion's last understudy and project, will get all this attention and acclaim, he felt envious and tried to make it about him. It was a low-blow attention grab, and evidently, that line's really unnecessary. But say I didn't get permission beforehand to cite him. Pink's confusion is that he somehow originated something, that he owns a way of writing. He learned how to write in centigraphs from Noah Cicero. He stated this in interviews. Noah Cicero is the one who came up with the term centigraphs. Sean Kilpatrick breaks it down well in this review of one of Pink's books. All cap sentence. You can absolutely be influenced by the formal technique of others. This is what writing is. This requires reading. I urge everyone who wants to write to read widely and find new writing techniques that resonate with you, that you can use to write the story you need to tell, and use them. Pink is a Tao Lin baby, scroll to the earliest Moo Moo House stories. There are countless examples of people writing in this mode. There's no argument here. I consciously wrote in a specific mode, studied it, took the parts I liked, made it my own, and combined it with all my other influences to write something urgent and vulnerable and untouchable. And he was one of the people I drew from. That's really all I have to say about that, and that's not why I'm writing this. The thing that's most backwards about Pink's essay is the slander, his claims about me being some well-connected rich kid who manipulated my way into fuckboy coming out how I did. The idea of me coming from money to those who know me is laughable. My parents were okay, maybe I should. Okay, I kind of say this later. I'm totally open about my upbringing. Sam Pink is a pen name by a guy named Dave, who also went to I got a full need-based scholarship to undergrad, and then demanded all but 5K. Oh, whatever. Let's read how I wrote it. My parents were nomadic social workers to take care of handicapped people growing up, and I got a full need-based scholarship to undergrad, and then demanded all but 5K covered for my MFA. I'm totally open about all this. Sam Pink is a pen name made up by a guy named Dave who also went to an MFA. I didn't tell a story about how Fuckboy came to be a Little Brown book with a big advance because I was grieving and it happened under such unexpected, painful circumstances. To not imply that I manipulated this to happen how it did is not just a lie, it's kind of evil, knowing what actually happened. Pink, on the other hand, had a book deal at Soft Skull, no different than Little Brown in terms of mainstreamness, in terms of institutional funding, but then got greedy, wanted more money, withdrew his book from Soft Skull, and submitted it to Little Brown. Then got mad and wrote that essay. Pink was the one who tried to scheme. I felt bad for him when he wrote that essay, which is why I didn't say anything. The reason why I am now is because I realized what a dishonest and harmful narrative that is, and the implications it has for aspiring writers. The question at the American Grammar event made me realize this. This narrative being there's an authentic, totally original underclass that strives to make it, yet due to the way of the world are never-ending victims, manipulated by a scheming cabal of privileged rich people who steal from them, profiting off their struggles. The underlying implication being, if you're from this underclass, you should stop trying. That those born rich and connected will forever manipulate and scheme their way into those cherished positions of cultural influence. The conflict I felt when that young woman at American Grammar asked me that question was, on the one hand, wanting to agree with her. Maybe the world did, in many contexts, work like this. The only problem was she was applying it to my story, and that's not what happened with my story. What actually happened... Okay, this is a little like self-victim-y, but whatever. I came from a position of societal and financial and literary outsiderness from both mainstream and alternative literature. Had a vision about the book I wanted to write. Took the risk of moving to New York to do the Columbia MFA with no backup plan, no safety net. Stuck to my vision. Was totally open about my process. Shared vulnerably and intensely about and in my unique lexicon that I came up with. I didn't compromise. I found people who supported me. I navigated the real world as best I could. Used what opportunities I had. All while being totally open about the process. I say that like 100 times. I'm totally open about the process. The meaning of this story is, when you listen to your inner calling and risk everything, take leaps of faith, have the courage to be vulnerable, to go against the grain, and stick to your vision, even when the world denies you over and over, there's still hope. With the secondary meaning being, if you choose to hide behind a fake persona and hide your privileges so you can appear more authentic and cool, you better be sure that's what you actually want. Because if it's not, you might try to scheme your way. Okay, I should... There's still hope. This is a good... I'm going to cut that paragraph because I say it later. This is a good, positive story of what I did. And it's true. So when I defend myself here, it's not so you'll think better of me. It's to defend the truth of the story, of my story, and to defend the validity of the meaning of my story so others can learn from it in a positive way. Okay, that's kind of gay. Then I kind of start repeating myself a little bit. But basically, like... Because I felt, yeah. But, damn, I might need to work on this a little more.
You have so much ground to cover. Why don't you just start with that?
What?
With that, what you just read. Just post that. It's chapter 2.
Oh, okay.
You know, and link his essay so they can read it.
Yeah, true. Maybe that's the move. Should I just read a little more and see what you think? Alright, well, I just wanted to go through now I just want to go through the 3 slanders and say what actually happened. I just kind of reviewed them initially. Okay, the first one is just like the thing of like me being a rich kid or whatever. Like, okay, so like my parents took care of disabled people for a living growing up. My family lived in self-sustaining communities for disabled people during my early years where they received no income, and then for 1 year tried to live out in the real world in Sacramento working as substitute teachers. And then for middle and high school, my mom and sisters lived in Santa Cruz in the house of a woman with cerebral palsy who my mom worked as a living caretaker for. I went to undergrad on a full need-based scholarship. I demanded and got all but $5,000 a year covered for grad school at Columbia. After 6 years of working random jobs in between, struggling, everyone who knows me knows this. It's weird to conflate education with wealth, based on zero evidence, especially in reference to places like Swarthmore where I went to undergrad, which is notoriously need-blind and covers tuition according to your parents' income. Anyone with under $40,000 combined parental income gets a full ride. That's why I went. And it's especially dishonest since you yourself went to an MFA, only partway through decided to self-publish under your fake name. This is one of the first things Pink and my mutual friend at the time, B, told me after the book sold, that Pink suddenly regretted his decision to go the route he took, impulsively self-publishing how he did when he was in his MFA, not following through, not taking the patient, transparent, vulnerable route I took. This is not a matter of opportunity, it's a matter of choices. You're over here lying about your life to promote this fake idea of yourself you have to hide your secret MFA. This is not helpful to anyone. It's dishonest. I don't know about your upbringing because you, again, write under a fake name and hide all biographical details of yourself. Our projects are so different. They're basically opposite. But in my experience, the type of white kid who is proud of being poor is generally rebelling against his wealthy upbringing. I'm not proud of having no family safety net, and nor am I claiming to be the most underprivileged person. I understand the contradiction of having attended a good school and then finding myself in a position 6 years later of having no role in society. But that's what I'm saying about the world today in my book. In today's day and age, a college degree in writing and philosophy, like mine was, doesn't mean shit. For a certain type of guy, there's no place for him in society, and people write him off just for being a certain type of guy. I wrote a book based on my lived experience, sharing vulnerably and openly about the strange contradictions of what I come from in order to say something bigger about the era we live in and to complicate our perceptions of who people who appear and sound a certain way really are. To me, you're like a high school, because, that's... Yeah, it's like, I don't know, you're like a high schooler walking around with a little image of yourself trying to be cool. All you kids are. I don't want you to think I'm cool. I want to scare the shit out of you and change your view of the world. You felt depressed and envious, regretted not having the courage to do what I did, to risk everything I did. Let me jump ahead. Okay. Maybe that's... Okay. That's the end of that section. Yeah, that's the end of that section. It's a good edit. See, you're helping me edit real quick, okay? I'm just going to cut that last paragraph. We get it. Alright. That I appropriated some underprivileged culture. This idea is the funniest shit to me. Alt-lit being some underprivileged class. I'm kind of going at all of alt-lit. Alt-lit is 95% white kids with affluent upbringings overwhelmed by the ennui of modernity, doing drugs, feeling nihilistic and depressed and ironic about how alienated they feel about the world now that they have phones. My aesthetic has elements of this for sure, the drugs, the internet speak, but I am not nihilistic and absurdist like you. Fuckboy got compared to Sar as a young Werther for a reason. It's ultimately earnest and ultimately believes in the redemptive power of art. I am not affluent and white. My mom didn't speak English till she came to the States for the first time at 27. My Japanese grandma and uncle don't speak English. I've always linguistically and socially been ostracized by the group of people who constitute alt-lit. I went to Swarthmore because I got recruited there for basketball and they gave me a full ride. And I got him because I was blessed to have a rigorous mother. Damn, this is kind of gay. Who was along with being a caretaker. Oh, I already said it before? Yeah.
I would strike the earlier part and just say that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I hate this line of thinking. Of course, I had privileges, and this is not a bad thing. But to act like I'm some trust fund kid is laughable, and to claim that you alt-lit kids are somehow underprivileged. It's like, get a fucking grip. Yeah. One look at this stain and disgust towards my writing and my flow and fuckboy by these kids, and it's abundantly clear who the outsider is. Okay, maybe I should try to go real fast to the ending and see if there's anything there. Yeah, basically I have one thing, kind of repeating myself, just like, I'm not really part of alt lit. And Pink is absurd, he's doing something totally different. 3, that I somehow masterminded my book coming out how it did. This is the hardest part because I don't really want to go into everything, you know? But I try to say it in a way where I say the least possible stuff but get the point across. This is the personal, slimy, honestly disgusting aspect of the whole thing. The narrative of me having masterminded Fuckboy coming out how it did, knowing all he did about what actually happened that I wasn't ready to talk about. I didn't try to scheme. I was committed to publishing with Gian since first connecting with him in the fall of 2019 when we first linked. We worked on the book through the pandemic year, all through the MFA, which I went to on a whim with no backup plan, working jobs, for rent. I said that already, damn it. Till finally, come March 2021, Gian's out here finalizing the book. He's already thrown me a contract for $3,000 for it. I'm ready to sign. He's telling me to hold on signing till an agent gets back to me. He wants me to have an agent for our relationship so I know what I'm signing. I'm literally about to when one of the agents he referred me to gets back to me. She says she's down to work on the contract, and we're so stoked since this is the last step. We've already got the cover, the blurbs. This is everything we've been working for. My girlfriend Kira at the time wants to celebrate. We go out the very night to celebrate, and that's the night she dies. And then 3 days later, Gian dies. And Pink knows all this. He's texting me shit like this right after it all happens. 10 days before the book deal. Hey man, anything you need, here for you. And no one knows this yet. It's not public. But that's how close the circle is. And then it's just a shit show. Dealing with, on the one hand, the onslaught of attention Gian's death brought onto me in the book, and on the other, upholding the desire for privacy Kira's family requested of him. And then the questions about what would happen with the book. It's Gian's last project. It's set to go. He'd been texting people, literary people, images of the cover, gassing it up. I'm getting emails asking when and where it would get published. There's talk of trying to continue Tyrant or getting Gian's new press going, but that was also muddy. Those closest to Gian were firm on no one besides Gian running it, but the book had to come out. And then a month after all this, the agent that Gian got me, asked if she can send it out. I agree. I want to get out of the city. I don't care about this book shit. Then the morning after she sends it out, Little Brown makes an offer. I say, so long as nothing gets changed, so long as Gian's edits stay. They agree. They say they'll do everything to honor Gian's memory. I sell the book. How the fuck is that scheming? You know what I'm saying? To know all this, and then make up this story that I somehow manipulated my way into all this happening, that's fucked up, bro. So then a month later, days after the book sells, Unhinged B, our mutual friend at the time, who I've basically been a grief counselor for over this past month. Before that, for the loss he suffered, this kid who acts tough but online went to Naropa, starts telling everyone how much the book sold for, which of course it did. The book is gas. It's like nothing ever written, and Gian's the most legendary editor of all time. What are we even talking? And this is the last book. What are we even talking about? Because what the outside world needs to understand is that in this alt-lit bubble, Gian is king, Whatever he says goes. He's the last tastemaker. And to those kids who turn on me especially. And in February 2021, Gian had made me guest editor at Gian's magazine, at New York Tyrant magazine, which is a grail for these boys. And everyone who flamed me on Goodreads, all 50 one-star reviews I got 5 months before the book came out, before anyone had read it, were people upset about how things happened, maybe rightfully confused and never heard back from me, for wanting to be published in Tyrant. But Pink's was also one of the pieces I solicited and edited and published. The last 4 pieces on the site were the ones I published, but the sudden power dynamic shift of that. He thinks I'm his student, and then suddenly I'm publishing him, and I've elevated above him. If you want to think about it like that, which you don't have to, but he did. But that's inevitably part of what happens. But then the book sells, and Pink's calling me, all going, I don't like it, man, I feel wronged. I'm all, what are you talking about? He's all, everyone keeps stealing from me. I'm all, what are you talking about? And he starts going off about people stealing his ideas, about another writer paying him $5,000 to edit his book, and then not acknowledging him. And meanwhile, Gion's over here getting eulogized all over the place, and that made him feel unappreciated. He can sense how big of a wave my book will be. We all can, and he feels left out. He's going on and on to me on the phone about how he has a shitty job, how his $10,000 book deal from Soft Skull is not enough. And it's really not my business. It's not on me to try to save this man. But I'm in full PTSD, and I feel bad about how I feel slighted. So I'm all, yo, bro, I'll throw you a sick acknowledgement, because this shit doesn't really matter. We have bigger things to worry about, right? Like, say, I can take that line out. It's a little bit too gnarly, but, you know, grieve. Trying to grieve, you know, the person you love.
Don't take that.
Who you plan to do everything together with, you know, having her meds all whacked out and dying, and then Gian, the most valuable person in publishing, and my closest friend over the insane pandemic here, overdosing, right? Like, we have bigger shit to worry about, don't we? And that's when I'm still shocked about how, I'm still shocked about how things happen, feeling like anything I do will end in catastrophe, trying to save everyone. Go ahead and add that acknowledgement to Pink. But fine, that's all good. Fuck books, whatever you want, acknowledged. But then it just keeps going. I'm still trying to grieve and live in peace out in LA, prepare myself for this totally radical and vulnerable book coming out. And my dude's all texting me like wanting to pod and wanting to fabricate some fake beef for his publicity. All texting me shit like, let's give the people what they want. War. I'm all, get the fuck out of here, bro. But so then I'm heading back across country, and I ask him to pod. I say, I'll pull up to your house right now. Let's pod. And he gets scared. Pink wasn't satisfied with what he had. He was worried only about money. This is the meaning of this story. Shit goes bad when you worry only about money. His book deal, which, by the way, he got through his connections, through his friendship with Tao Lin, was totally legit. He didn't need to do that. He tried to scheme and then flipped out when he realized he played himself and wrote that essay, saying I did everything he did. I found someone who understood what I was doing, who fully supported it, who I listened to loyally through all the workshops and feedback of people questioning my vision throughout my MFA. Who I was, at the time he died, in the process of finalizing a $3,000 contract for. Someone you yourself sent your books to, who you had no problem being published by in this magazine by me just months before this. So watch your fucking mouth disparaging Gion's name the minute he dies. My book went where it did for the money it got because I stuck to my vision and didn't care about money, staying loyal to those who supported it and most understood it. It was a set of totally insane and unpredictable and tragic circumstances that led to coming out how it did. You, on the other hand, as soon as you got wind of possibility to get more money, got greedy, and immediately turned on the editor who supported you up until that point, and then got angry and self-sabotage, selling this lie that you're somehow a victim and wanted to self-publish all along. I don't give a shit what you do. It's not about making fun of your career choices. What the lie of the story tells aspiring writers is you're not supposed to try to reach a wider audience. You shouldn't go to MFA if you want to be authentic. You went to an MFA. That's fine. We both went places to learn about writing since we both wanted to write. You don't need to come up with this whole persona to hide this fact. You're upset because the decisions you made, you project onto me. It was never questioning me being influenced by you. I make it abundantly clear that I was. But to try to discredit my art and my whole story, that's bullshit. Bro. All I did was support you, and to act like I did something wrong by selling the book in the circus. Yeah, I'm kind of repeating myself this. And then the last thing, it's just, to selling the book that I did in the circumstances I found myself in, especially after doing what you did, is just a dishonest and fake. The thing about it is, I don't think you actually give a shit about literature. That's why you don't read anything. Even though it happened how it did, it happened because I risked everything. With no security or backup plan and safety net. I see I'm repeating myself a lot now. Knowing I could move back into my van if I had to, writing something completely urgent and soul-bearing, being completely open about everything. I'm doing, who I'm influenced by, who I am, getting recognized by Gian. We should just be clear about that. You chose a different route. Damn. And you do a different thing. You do it well. Keep doing it. My mistake was in my PTSD state, thinking I was somehow responsible for your life choices. That has nothing to do with me. And I understand everyone on my Goodreads had the stories you wanted to publish in Tyrant. Some of whom I even responded to and said I'd get back to and then didn't. And that it was shocking when you didn't hear back and Gian died and Tyrant ended and then my book got announced. That's what happened, and I'm sorry to everyone I didn't respond to. And then the last bit goes, but you motherfuckers who sit here and disperse Gian's legacy the minute he's gone, that's coward shit. Andrew Wilt, you trash human. Literally a wannabe Gian, riding my dick about my pod, sending me dozens of books, begging me to have his writers on. You got triggered by the book and try to get attention for yourself. I view writing as an actual tool for salvation for the reader and writer. I always have. That's why I pod how I do. You don't, and that's okay. We're not the same. Anyone who actually reads the book knows that it's this kind of story, or they're too triggered by their feelings about the superiority of their language, or by their political posturing, or by their moral purity. There are plenty of things to get triggered by in there. That to me is what a work of art should do. You guys are in high school trying to be liked. I'm trying to actually change literature and speak to those who need it and to shock those who don't. That's what the vision always was, what it still is. And you know what? I did do that. Gian, we did do that. We changed literature.
That's great.
Thank you, baby.
That's great.
What the hell? Where'd it go? It died?
Not that.
Nice.